As COVID infection surges across the country, with more than 1 million Americans infected in the last 7 days, the question of lockdowns has popped up. It's not easy, period. Millions of Americans are out of work and are still collecting benefits from the government, and a lockdown could easily send the country into a big downward spiral. But at the same time, if you allow COVID cases to increase in the order of millions by the week, then with or without a lockdown, the economy will surely move into a downward spiral. So, what can be done? Something must be done. The Republicans were eager for Biden to waltz into that trap, say that he will announce a lockdown to slow down the spread, and then use that as a wedge to pin the resultant economic slowdown on the Biden administration. They are already doing whatever they can to make it hard for governors to plan and counter COVID. Scott Atlas, a man who has no background to deal with the pandemic but was still appointed by Trump to massage his COVID messaging, railed against Michigan governor, nudging people to step up and resist her efforts to stop COVID spreading further in her state. So the dual job, don't allow COVID containment measures to take shape, and at the same time make it harder for Biden transition team to get on top of the COVID vaccine rollout, is already underway. And Biden committing himself to a nationwide lockdown would have played perfectly into the GOP's plan to keep the second COVID relief package to be as small as possible. Biden will need a ton of money, and if he announces that he is thinking about a lockdown, then the leverage will move squarely into GOP's hands. Thankfully, Biden was smart enough to avoid that trap. When a reporter asked Biden yesterday on his plan on restrictions, the president-elect smartly circumvented the question. And I think this is what he said. He was like, look, it depends on the state. And then he picked up the mask and asked, does anybody understand why any governor would turn a mask into a political statement? And then finally he said this, it is about patriotism, waving the mask in his hand. Biden did a GOP on GOP. I never really thought the Democrats, especially Biden, will have that ability to completely spin things into a tangent, and one that will put the opposition in the dock. He is now equating mask mandates to patriotism. And if he pursues that path, repeatedly riffing GOP governors for standing against mask mandates and keep equating masks with patriotism, it will be a huge challenge for the GOP to continue in the direction they have moved in the last several months. And I really believe that one statement will put some pressure on GOP governors to act. The Iowa governor, Kim Reynolds, has been at the forefront in doing the exact opposite things requested by infectious disease experts. But by yesterday evening, she had a change of heart. Starting today, people in Iowa must wear masks whenever they are indoors. Don't know if it was Biden's remarks that made her change her position, or if it is the rate at which COVID is spreading in Iowa that made her move. I think it's the latter. But whatever it is, she is finally on the right track. North Dakota and West Virginia, two GOP controlled states, have already announced a mandate to wear masks. So one by one, GOP governors are falling in line with COVID containment measures. Biden's decision to not commit to a nationwide lockdown is just the reality of where we are at this point. The economy is not in shape to handle a stress of that magnitude. We should have got the lockdown right when we did it in the first time in April, but the whole effort was botched by the current administration. And Celine Gounder, a clinical assistant professor at NYU Grossman School of Medicine, who is also a member of Biden's newly formed coronavirus panel, made it very clear that the consensus in the advisory board is that they are not seeking a nationwide lockdown. According to her, Biden has made it very clear that he will not entertain a national lockdown. So it is clear that Biden prefers a localized approach to restrictions, allowing governors to take control. And it kind of makes sense. Instead of putting the entire country into a lockdown, if we can shut down or restrict only small parts of the country, it can still be effective in slowing down the spread while reducing the damage caused to the national economy. Since we only need to survive another 3 or 4 months for the vaccine to be rolled out on a massive scale, the targeted restriction approach will work. It will be slow, but it will also give us the space to operate. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe.